Hello and welcome to another LEGO Train MOC Showcase video. This is the LMS Princess Royal class. So this is a locomotive design that I have built both in the past at 6 studs wide and 7 studs wide. This model is 8 studs wide. It is the first British locomotive I've built at 8 studs wide, and honestly I might do that in the future. 7 wide is very similar, and when you go from 6 wide to 7 wide, there is a very big difference. But in a way, going from 7 wide to 8 wide, there's also another big difference visually. There are some details you can now get in certain areas that you couldn't quite get away with when it comes to building 7 wide. So building 7 wide, you can still incorporate some details onto the locomotive models, but when you go to 8 wide, all the extra space, well, I say extra space, even though it's just 1 stud, it still does make a difference. In particular, this pipe that goes from the smoke box to the cylinders. I couldn't do this at 7 wide because of how thick these pipe bricks are. It wouldn't work. I'd have to use something thinner, and that would be something I might ultimately have to pass on. But because these bricks exist and I can actually do this at this 8 wide scale, it works so much better. Another area that works better at 8 wide than 7 wide is the detail with the trailing wheel underneath the cab. Now there are some slope bricks that kind of turn inwards. It's a bit difficult to describe, but at certain angles you can kind of see what I mean. And again, you can accomplish this at 7 wide, but it would look so much more bulky. It would stick out from underneath the cab, and that's not what it's supposed to do. The last major detail I can get away with at 8 wide is the detail by the wheels on the tender. This is something I've gone back and forth with on my models for the longest time. However, when it comes to my coronation class, there were a few sort of redesigns when it came to actually getting this detail correct. The tender designs are actually different, so that is a bit unfair, but at the same time, it shouldn't be too different, nor should it be too difficult. At 7 wide, there are some details that are still poking out where they should be tucked in compared to the running board of the tender itself. This is basically a design that is simpler in its own way, but it's still all tucked in through the 8 wide running board of the tender. I will come back to the tender and look at it in more detail in full later on, but for now I can absolutely appreciate building 8 wide to accomplish this amazing look. The boiler has been built in the same way I've built other boilers for my models in the past, same use of bricks, same build technique, but because it's 8 wide, I could probably try and get away with a few more things in the future. I don't really think I actually tried anything to achieve certain details with this model, but in the future, if I do go to make another 8 wide model, it's definitely worth experimenting to see what other details can be made more accurate at this scale. And with this scale and design of locomotive, nothing smaller than 2XL drive wheels would do. I have a load of these saved up now for models just like this. I have plenty more in my stash, which is something I'm going to be hopefully using in the future. But yes, this is something that absolutely suits this design, and I can't wait to see this model run. I now have wider radius curves for my layout, so this should be a very smooth runner, especially with those bigger wheels. I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the lining was originally done in gold, and as you can see here, it's not in gold, it's in yellow. So why did I change it? Well, the simple answer is I couldn't really see it. The reflective surface of the gold tape was a bit tricky to actually see the lining itself. And as time went on, I thought to myself, you know what, compared to my other LMS models, they all have yellow tape. So this one's going to stand out and look worse compared to the others. Because it's 8 wide, I wanted it to be a bit more special, but that effect didn't really work. So sadly, that's a bunch of gold tape I can't use anymore. But at the same time, it's not like I use that much tape. It's still a very nice looking locomotive. I love the details on the cab in particular. It's so simple, but it feels like everything kind of just rounds off to here. Back over to the tender, and this is very samey to how I've built other tenders in the past. Same overall design with the use of bricks and the particular shapes. The 1x1 round bricks in particular used for the coal pieces, and like with the boiler, this used to be lined in gold, but this, I think, looked much worse than the boiler when it was lined in gold. The sort of wheel details I didn't touch when it had gold lining tape at the time, but I suppose it's because there's more tape closer together. It just looked really bad. I don't know why the gold didn't look as good as I thought it would look, at least in my head, but, you know, I'm ultimately glad I swapped over to yellow because this just suits it so much better. Every now and then, I do make a model that stands out above others, and this is definitely one of them. And the main reason is because this was built at 8 studs wide. Now, having built 7 wide for the longest time, it does set a standard for me, but seeing what I can do at 8 wide, it's much simpler in its own ways. It brings out more details, and whilst I'm not too sure how many more models I'm going to be making in the future, this is something I am very, very proud of. Again, it's a model that is also so elegant. The overall design of it is something I very much love. And because it got the special treatment of being built at 8 studs wide, which allowed more detail, it's something I absolutely hold close to my heart. So that is it for this video. Thank you all ever so much for watching. Make sure you check into my YouTube community tab for updates and polls. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.